what happens after we die? I mean, really, what is the self? Is anything at all, truly eternal? These are huge questions, right? And today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating ancient text from the Pali Canon. It's called the Pañcattayasuttaṃ. You can almost think of it like an ancient philosophical scorecard. It lays out all these intense debates about existence, identity, reality itself.
Exactly. And our mission really is to guide you through this landscape. It's full of these, well, incredibly diverse views from ascetics and Brahmins back then, often conflicting views. And then, crucially, we'll look at the Tathagata's perspective, which isn't just another view. It sort of cuts through all that complexity, offers a path to liberation. It's almost like a shortcut, to understanding these deep philosophical currents that honestly are still flowing today.
Right, so why should you care about this ancient text now? Because these questions, they haven't gone away. Self, consciousness, what happens at the end, we still grapple with this stuff. And the sutta offers this, what's amazing lens. It feels surprisingly relevant for looking at our own assumptions about everything. Okay, let's get into it. So our journey starts with maybe the biggest question of all. What happens after death? The Sutta maps out these views, the Aparantakapika views, different groups, ascetics, Brahmins, they all had ideas about the self, the attā, and whether it would be, healthy after death, arogo parmaran.
That's the term, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Sutta basically groups their answers into three main camps regarding consciousness after death. First, you had those who were convinced the self stays conscious.
Okay, conscious.
Yeah, and they went into incredible detail. Does this conscious self have form? Is it formless? Maybe both, or neither. And its perception, too, is it unified, diverse, limited, or maybe immeasurable, vast?
Wow, they really tried to cover all the bases.
They absolutely did. Some in this group even thought nothingness. Pañcattayasuttaṃ was the ultimate state, pure, supreme, beyond all those other perception types. It just shows the sheer effort, doesn't it?
Hurry.
Trying to grasp an essence that, well, from the Tathagata's view, wasn't really graspable in that way.
Okay, so that's the conscious self camp. What was the second one?
The second group believed the self becomes unconscious after death, attā. And like the first group, they also debated its form. Form, formless, both, neither. That part seems common. But their main reason was explicitly rejecting the conscious view. They actually said, and this is a striking quote, perception is a disease, a boil, a dart. Sanyarogo, sanyagatal, sanyasale.
A disease.
Yeah.
Wow.
For them, unconsciousness was peaceful, refined, better than being conscious.
Okay. Conscious, unconscious. What's the third possibility?
The third group landed on neither conscious nor unconscious. Navasanyata.
Neither 10 were. Okay.
Again, debating its form or formlessness. But their logic was, well, they rejected both the other views. Consciousness wasn't it. But they felt total unconsciousness was a kind of delusion. So for them, this state of neither perception nor non-perception, that was the truly peaceful, refined state.
It's like they explored every logical corner. But then the sutta brings in something even more, radical, doesn't it? This idea of annihilation, uccade, where the being is just gone, cut off, destroyed, dissolved after death, ceases.
Exactly, a complete break. And this annihilationist view rejected all three of those previous categories we just talked about.
It must have been pretty jarring back then.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating is the Sutta uses this analogy. It compares these annihilationists to merchants setting out thinking, we shall be thus in the future.
Planning for their future. Non-existence? That's odd.
It is odd. It points to a peculiar kind of planning, even for oblivion. And connecting this, the Tathagata saw something deeper going on here. He understood that these views often come from a place of fear of the self, sakkayopaya, or even revulsion from the self, sakkayapariyagucha.
So they dislike the self, fear it, and want it gone.
Right. But here's the paradox, the really sharp insight. Even in trying to reject or annihilate the self, they still revolve around the self. It's like that image of a dog tied to a post. It can run and run, but it's always circling that post. The leash keeps it bound.
So even rejecting the self keeps you focused on the self.
Precisely. The act of rejection becomes its own subtle preoccupation, its own form of clinging. And that's where it gets really interesting, showing how clinging works in unexpected ways.
That is a powerful insight. Okay, so you have all these incredibly complex, conflicting views on the afterlife. What was the Tathagata's final take on all of them, the common thread?
Yeah, the common thread is crucial. His insight, repeated throughout the sutta for all these afterlife views, is that he understood them as conditioned. Sakataroika.
Condition, meaning?
Meaning they're constructed. They depend on causes, on conditions. They aren't absolute, inherent, eternal truths.
Ah, okay.
Because they're conditioned, they are subject to cessation, nirodha. They arise, they change, they eventually pass away.
So none of them represented the ultimate unchanging reality.
That's the core understanding. They're all part of the changing show, not the fundamental nature of things.
Okay, so after tackling what happens after life, the sutta shifts gears a bit, right? To views about, well, the beginning.
Yeah.
Or just the nature of things now.
Exactly. It moves to what are often called the Pubbantakappika views. Views about the past, or maybe more broadly, about the fundamental nature of the self and the world itself, not just post-mortem stuff.
And were these just as varied?
Oh, absolutely. You had your eternalist self and world are eternal, unchanging. Then the opposite. Annihilationists, everything gets destroyed. Then people trying to mix them, both eternal and annihilationist. Or even neither.
Sounds familiar, like the afterlife debates.
Very similar structure, yeah. They also argued if the self and world were spatially finite or infinite, or both, or neither. And yes, those perception-based views popped up again. Unified perception, diverse, limited, immeasurable. And even happiness-suffering views. Is existence ultimately happy? Suffering? A mix? Or neither? They really covered the philosophical map.
It's almost overwhelming, the sheer number of positions.
It is, like trying to categorize every possible way of seeing reality. But here's the key commonality the sutta points out for all these beginning views. It says that people holding these views, however complex they are, they can't achieve pure and clear personal knowledge, Pañcattayasuttaṃ, if it's just based on faith, or preference, or hearsay, speculation, just accepting a view someone else taught them.
So you can't just believe your way to true understanding.
Not according to this. And here's the real kicker. Any purification of knowledge they do manage within these belief systems, the sutta says it's still a form of clinging, upadana.
Cling, even to knowledge.
Even to what seems like pure knowledge, if it's bound up in these conceptual frameworks. Which really makes you ask, what isn't clinging then?
That is a consistent message, isn't it? Just like the afterlife views, these beginning views are also conditioned, dependent, subject to arising and passing away.
Exactly. Mental constructs, however sophisticated.
Okay, this next part of the sutta is really fascinating. It moves beyond just theories and looks at actual meditative states, deep experiences people were having.
Yes, this is crucial. We're not just talking philosophy now, but profound experiences, states of consciousness. And the sutta analyzes them. First, it talks about some people achieving this joy of seclusion, pavivekappi.
Joy of seclusion. How did they get there?
By letting go of those past and future views we just discussed, and also sensual desires, the fetters. And they experienced this joy and thought, this is it. Peaceful, refined.
Sounds pretty good.
It does. But here's the insight, the aha moment in the text. Even this deep joy, it's impermanent. It ceases, the sutta says. And when it ceases, displeasure, domanassa, can arise. Then the displeasure ceases and the joy comes back. The sutta uses that brilliant image. Shade covers what the sun abandons, and sun covers what shade abandons. It's a cycle.
So even that profound joy is conditioned. It comes and goes.
Exactly. Still part of that conditioned reality. Then, going deeper, some went beyond that joy to attain an immaterial happiness, niramisukura, even more peaceful, even more refined, they thought.
Okay, beyond joy.
But again, same pattern. This deeper happiness isn't stable either. It arises from conditions. It will pass. It ceases. Maybe the joy of seclusion comes back. That ceases. The immaterial happiness arises again. Conditioned, impermanent.
That's relentless, this analysis.
It really is. And it goes further. Some transcended even that immaterial happiness to reach a feeling of neither pain nor pleasure. A dukkhamasukha vidana.
The ultimate neutral state, maybe.
That's how they saw it. The peak of peace and refinement. But you guessed it.
It also ceases.
It also ceases. Gives rise to immaterial happiness, perhaps, which ceases, and then this feeling returns. Still conditioned. Still following that rhythm of arising and passing like the shade and sun.
This is almost unsettling. That even these incredibly deep, peaceful states are described as impermanent, part of the conditioned flow. And then there's that really subtle point about people who reach a state and actually declare, I am peaceful, I am extinguished, I am without clinging, santahamasmi ni butohamasmi anupadanohamasmiti. That sounds like the finish line, right?
It absolutely sounds like it. And this is where the sutta's analysis gets incredibly sharp.
Yeah.
It says that even that very assertion, I am without clinging, is itself identified as clinging, upadana.
How can being without clinging be clinging?
It's subtle, isn't it? It's clinging, because the assertion itself is still based on something. It might be based on contrasting oneself with past future views or sensual desires, or even based on identifying with those previous meditative states, the joy, the immaterial happiness, the neutrality. There's still an I am this peaceful state identification happening, a subtle grasping at a state, a perception. And because of that identification, that subtle grasp, it's still considered conditioned, not the ultimate unconditioned liberation.
Wow. Okay. So if all the complex philosophies about self and world, and even these incredibly profound meditative experiences, are ultimately conditioned, potentially involving subtle clinging, what is the goal then? What's the unexcelled, truly peaceful, supreme state that Tathagata points towards?
That's the core question, isn't it? And the answer, as the Sutta reveals it, is unclinging liberation, anupada vimokkham.
Unclinging liberation. And how do you get there if it's not through views or attaining states?
Not by adding more views, not by grasping even blissful states. It's achieved, the Sutta says, by knowing things as they actually are. Yathavhutta viditva. Knowing what specifically? Knowing the arising, passing away, gratification, danger, and escape. Samudayanka atigamanya adinavanya kantisaranika of the six sense bases, chanafasaitana,
The six sense bases: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch.
and mind. Mental phenomena, thoughts, feelings, basically everything we experience. This is the fundamental shift. Liberation isn't found in abstract theories or temporary states. It's found in directly understanding how our own experience, mediated by our senses, actually works. How sights, sounds, feelings arise, how they pass away, what their initial appeal, their gratification is, what the danger of clinging to them is, and crucially seeing the escape, the freedom that comes from understanding this whole process without clinging.
So it's about direct insight into this moment, into how perception itself functions.
Exactly. That direct, unconditioned understanding of our immediate sensory reality is what the Sutta calls the unexcelled, peaceful, supreme state. It's very practical, very immediate.
So bringing this all together,
Yeah.
what does it really mean for you listening right now? It seems it's less about getting tangled in complex theories about souls or the universe,
Mhm.
and more about a really practical, almost hands-on understanding of your own moment-to-moment experience, how you see, hear, feel, think right now.
That's a great way to put it.
We've covered a lot of ground here, journeyed through these ancient philosophical maps, haven't we?
Yeah.
From all those afterlife theories, the nature of reality debates, even those deep meditative states. Quite a landscape.
It really is. And for me, what really stands out, maybe for you too, is how the Pañcattayasuttaṃ just keeps hammering this point home. It doesn't matter how clever the philosophy is or how blissful the experience feels.
Yeah.
If there's clinging involved, if there isn't a full direct seeing of the conditioned nature of things, how everything arises and passes away,
Mhm.
it's not the path to ultimate liberation.
Right.
That truly freeing insight, it comes from understanding our immediate experience, right here, right now, through those six sense bases, seeing how they work, their allure, their danger, and the freedom in not grasping.
And this wisdom, it's not just some historical curiosity about ancient India, is it? It feels like a direct challenge to us today to really look at our own beliefs, our ideas about ourselves, the world, even our spiritual goals. Are we, maybe without realizing it, clinging to things, even positive ideas, ideas that might actually be limiting our freedom?
That's a really important question it raises for our modern lives, I think. Because we live in this world just overflowing with information, viewpoints, opinions, gurus, you name it. So how do you tell the difference? How do you distinguish genuine, unconditioned insight from just, clever ideas or feel-good experiences that are ultimately temporary? Finding that clarity is tough.
It really is. So maybe a final thought for you to ponder from all this. If even the most profound meditative states, the deepest peace people can experience, follow that same pattern arising and passing away, like shade and sun, what truly is permanent, if anything. And what does that realization actually mean for how you go about seeking knowledge, seeking peace, seeking understanding in your own life? Something to think about.